seen some videos of the product. And
So
then I'll
much
post them to
fun.
my TikTok too. Well, I'll share them from. I'll duet it. Is that what it's? Yeah.
I think it's
Stitch.
duetting.
Yeah,
You
duetting.
kids and your TikToks and your Snapchats.
My
Hey,
top
I'm not on.
ticks and my
I'm
chat
not on.
snap.
I'm not on chats. Chat Snapchat. Chat snap.
Got you! Yay!
I'm too old for that one.
Too old for the
Uh,
chat snap.
I'm on the chap snaps. Yep. However, I am on the talks because
It's all the hype.
lesbian thirst traps.
I'm barely on Instagram. I have a TikTok account. I've started learning how to use it, but I'm part of the full on boomer book generation. So apparently that's what the kids are calling Facebook now. Boomer book.
Oh,
Ooh.
that
Ooh.
hurts me so hard.
Soon Facebook's
wonder-
gonna be obsolete like MySpace.
I was gonna say, what do they call MySpace? I actually tried to log into my MySpace not too long ago. It's not the same. I don't.
I haven't logged into mine in a few years. I know it's still there, but MySpace. I don't know
Deleted
what they
mine.
call MySpace. I mean, it's owned by a Russian company now. It's
I mean,
I think it's
Tom
owned.
made some bank.
It may be owned by the same company that bought LiveJournal.
I know they make. I think at one point they were doing a lot of music, like a lot
Yeah,
of people who
yeah.
had music on there.
Yeah, I
But
do
that's
remember
all
that.
I knew.
I
But
miss my live journal.
It's an awful music platform, in my opinion. Yes, I miss my LiveJournal too.
Never
My
used it.
LiveJournal's still up.
Really?
Yeah. LiveJournal.com/Emery's. I've had people
Go
offer
there.
me money for my username.
What was your username?
Emery's. EMRYS.
Oh. Okay.
And you haven't cashed in on it yet? You waiting for the highest bidder?
No, I want to keep it.
I think mine was Lady Nevermore on Live Journal. I don't remember. I think I made
Mine was-
like 5 posts. I was in high school and had the attention span of a gnat, which is not much different than the 34-year-old sitting in front of you today.
I probably had some Harry Potter name as my. I can't even remember. I think I made mine, went on it once, didn't go on it again.
I think I made my LiveJournal in like 1996 or 7. It was like when it first opened up.
I made
I'm
mine.
really old
game
right
somehow.
now.
I'm youthful. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Every time I bend down.
the guy that I have over that's company. We were talking about back in the days, the kind of tech that we grew up with back in all throughout my entire life. There's been a computer in my home. So from 75 all the way up to now, there's always been a computer in my home. So
yeah, we started off with one of those old, I don't know, square. It was hella big. And then
I
we
knew
moved
I
on
had
to
an
a
old
Mac.
computer. I don't remember like what it was. But I know I had one. I played Snake on it. That's
I played like that
That's all
old
that
Temple Run. A really old one.
yeah, we didn't have games on our computers back then.
Mine was like
on
8-bit.
a floppy disk.
Yep.
It was an
floppy disk.
actual floppy.
The little.
No, not the little one.
No.
The
5 1/4.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 5 1/4.
Yeah. The one was like as big as your face, pretty much.
It was like a pizza slice.
You'd like beat someone with it.
I had some of the even bigger ones that were like almost a record size.
Oh
man.
Or as I like to tell the kids at work, I'm like, I'm old enough to have seen all 3 of the original Star Wars in the movie theater.
My uncle told his students when he was teaching at ITT that he remembers programming on cards and cassettes.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was fun.
Magnetic
Oh,
drives.
Recording the radio on those all the time. Just, this is my song. Quick, get the cassette.
Not the
Can get most
not
of
the
it.
same kind of cassette for computers, that's for sure.
Oh,
But
yeah,
speaking
I know. It
of
just reminded me of that though.
old things, this is round 2 for Pantheons, apparently, because I can't count. And I figured because we haven't gotten a lot of input in our faithful viewers, I know Tara's there, I know Brett's there because I'm looking over at his computer. He's eating dinner and listening, watching us.
He's in chat too.
Anyway, he is. I saw that.
Well, bonjour.
He's glaring at me now.
Trying to open chat and my phone just decided to fall.
I figured we would dive a little bit more into our chosen gods, to try and stir up some conversation with our faithful viewers and get some input on the next pantheon to go into. We're still also looking for some guests who are more knowledgeable than us, because that's the failing of humans. The brain can only hold so much knowledge. It is not a computer.
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
There went my face.
So, Cliff, I'm actually really interested in hearing more about Thelema. And I'll tell you why. And I think it's the same one, but the podcast that I had been listening to last week, I finally finished. The television show that I was listening to, I finally finished, and I think they mentioned they said thelemic practices in said podcast. Now I don't know if it's the same thing as what you were speaking on, but I am really interested in to learn more about your practice and your deity.
All right, so Thelema, there really are no deities. You have things that may provide you some type of what's the word I'm thinking of? Channeling ability. You know, beings that will channel to you certain things. So, for example, Aleister Crowley, when he wrote the Book of the Law, he was channeling an Egyptian deity. He doesn't worship that deity because the whole basis of Thelema is that man is God. There is no God other than man. We are all but stardust. It's the cause. I'm stumbling over the word. It's kind of what Carl Sagan believed. You know, it's a very scientific way to look at it. But there's also magic. There's also ritual. You know, there's a bunch of stuff like that. Gardnerian Wicca came from Thelema. Same with the Golden Dawn came from Thelema. I say it as a fact. I know it's disputed where Gardnerian Wicca actually came, but he was, Gardner was a contemporary of Aleister Crowley and possibly learned from him, or they just worked on stuff and he just went off in his own direction.
I will say that in my research and my small amount of learning, we do admit that they were at least pen pals. I may not have swapped lessons, but they were definitely discussing things.
Yeah, there's that as well. The sole tenet is there is no God but man. And then there's do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law, which is the other tenet. That is talking about true will. As long as you are following your true will, you are following the tenets of Thelema. As long as it's not like, putting babies on spikes or, murder sprees, stuff like that. It's another way of basically saying the golden rule. And then you have love is the law, love under will, which explains the nature of the law of Thelema, which is love. So usually when you meet somebody in the OTO, you usually exchange the phrase, do what thou wilt shall be the whole law. And then you answer as in love is the law, love under will. Very similar to when you are interacting with somebody who is Islamic,
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum and alaikum assalam. So assalamu alaikum is the greeting, and then the return is alaikum assalam. So God be with you and with you.
So what is in this show? Okay, because I am hearing parallels between the show and what you're saying.
Mhm.
That they didn't go into thelemic practices. They just mentioned it and said a couple of things. And one of the things they mentioned was the number 93.
Yes, that is the it's the numerological number for Thelema. Thelema does deal heavily in numerology. I suck at numerology. There's Kabbalistic aspects to Thelema as well, so Old Hebrew spirituality and stuff like that, that also deal with a lot of numbers that I am terrible at. um, there's oh, what's it? Oh, Scientology was also allegedly influenced by Thelema. But
Huh.
Hubbard
No
was
idea, but I would believe it.
Hubbard was a whack job. So hopefully no Scientologists are listening to this and are going to sue me. So
I don't think they would be.
For legal purposes, it's a joke. There you go. We're clear.
there's different orders of Thelema. There's the OTO. There's the Ecclesia Gnostica. I'm totally getting tongue tied here. There's the Open Source Order of the Golden Dawn, the Typhonian Order. And there's some others, but they all have slightly different dogmas. The one I follow the closest to is the OTO, even though I'm not a member of the OTO. It's kind of like being a Mason.
Okay.
It's very secretive. There's a lot of ritual that they don't talk about. When you read the Book of the Law, just like some of the Masonic books, you're not supposed to divulge the information that's in the books. It's for members only.
So it's closed practice.
Closed but open. And so the OTO was actually at the last Pangaea that I went to, and I was actually really surprised.
Yes, I saw they had basically like, hey, come and check us out.
Yeah.
A table at Pangaea as well as Pagan Pride.
Oh, were they at Pagan Pride? Nice.
They were at Pagan Pride. I think there's actually a larger presence than one would initially.
Right. Well, they have a temple downtown. It's just a.
Is it a temple or is it a
Well,
lodge?
It's more like a lodge, but I think they call it a temple. I could be wrong. I've only talked to them a couple times. They've invited me down. I just haven't gone yet.
Okay, so just to summarize, then there is no like deity within I said it and now I'm going to screw it up. Thelemic.
Correct. There's no central deity.
Okay, no central deity.
God is man. Man is God. Now, on the flip side of this, I also practice Celtic nature worship as well.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say the S word, but yeah, it's nature worship for all intents and purposes. So there are certain patron deities that I hold to myself that I ask for advice. I will do ritual to them. I don't necessarily hold them up as my gods, but I do hold them up as these are nature spirits that are very wise, that I can benefit from their knowledge, and I am perfectly fine with giving them offerings and doing a ritual for them.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you wanna, or that you can tell us about Thelema? Trying to make sure I'm saying my pronunciations correctly because I don't want to offend anybody.
Oh, it's fine. It's there's a ton of books that you can get. Thelema deals in sex magic, hallucinogenic magic. Aleister Crowley loved, tripping balls and having sex. He has a whole book on sex.
Might actually
Good
start
times.
being religious if they're recruiting.
He also has a book all devoted to sex magic.
Ryan, what's the title of that book?
Sex magic. It's
That's all?
Yeah.
Wow, that's boring.
He's got other books like, I think he's got, it's been so long. I'm actually looking for his books right now. Rato Comatose Lucidity. What is that?
Ooh, that sounds fancy. I like that.
Is a technique of sex magic known best by its formulation by English author and occultist Aleister Crowley in 1912.
Okay.
All right, I gotta pull this up because I don't think I've read this one. A common form of the ritual uses repeated sexual stimulation, but not to physical orgasm, to place the individual in a state between full sleep and full wakefulness, as well as exhaustion, allowing the practitioner to commune with their god. Interesting.
Okay. All right.
That
see
is
you.
interesting.
So I am going to back
Put that
up here a
link in
little
the
bit.
thing.
The OTO, or the Thelema, they call them deities, but they're not really deities. I hate to use the term deity. It's so Baphomet is a good example. Baphomet being the goat-headed, goat-hoofed, what we would envision as Satan in the Judeo-Christian sense, Judeo-Christian sense.
There you go.
But Baphomet is essentially a god of knowledge, a god of wisdom. You know, the Satanic Church actually has statues to him that they've put in various places, like in front of courthouses and stuff like that. You know, they basically have stated, you know, if you can have your 10 Commandments up in a public building, then we can put the statue of Baphomet, which is our representation of knowledge and law, up as well. And there's other ones as well. They follow Nuit and Hadit and Horus and Babylon. You know, Chronozone is in there.
I like that they just kind of put the statue up as like, why can't we?
It's somebody who could actually give you more information on the OTO itself would be Matt. He was actually in the OTO.
Which Matt? My Matt?
Yep, you're Matt.
Oh, I did not know that. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Matt, I love you. I love you so much. You are a knowledge whore. So I do know. I'm not surprised.
A good thing.
It is a good thing.
He mentioned it on the podcast when he came on the show last time. That he was part of it. Yeah, that he used to be part of it.
Like, it sounds right. You know, going back to real quick, if you don't mind, where you said like a lot of like the Celtic deities, like you view a lot of them as like nature spirits, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, there's a part of me that really wants to be open, like, yeah, you know, there's gods and deities or whatever, but there's another part of me that's like very skeptical, and that's the hardest part for me to overcome in a lot of things. And when you said that you view them as more of nature spirits, I was like, that really sat well with me on that.
Right. Well, as
oh.
Celtic deities, as with most other pantheons, there is a nature element associated with those deities. More prevalent in Native American and First Nations, as well as Celtic. And Celtic not just being the UK and Ireland and Scotland. I mean, the Celtic culture was all throughout Europe. I mean, all the way out to the Eastern Bloc, Eastern Europe and stuff like that, and a little bit beyond. But yeah, the Celtic culture was vast. And then as the Romans came in, it got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then there's the theory that it got to the point where a lot of the Celtic tribes moved to what was called Iberia, which is modern-day Spain, and then basically left on boats and landed in Ireland.
I didn't know that.
That's one theory. And there's other theories that have been spaced out as well. There's a Egyptian theory about Ireland. There's a Greek theory about Ireland. There's
growing up.
The escaping Trojans went to Ireland instead of Rome. You know, it's just
Yeah, growing up, I always thought that, like, Celtic meant, like, just Scottish and, like, Ireland. Like,
no.
over there, that's it. And, then going through research and as I got older, being more exposed to all this, I was like, oh, it really expanded out a lot more than what I was, like, taught. And
Oh yeah.
it's another aspect of history being, completely, completely fucked in school.
Yeah, and it crossed over with the Saxon and the Utes and the Angles culture before they went over to England themselves. So you'll see a lot of, there's a lot of crossover between Norse and Saxon culture as far as religion goes, and you'll see a lot of those same nature elements in their deities as well.
Same between the Pict and the Norse.
Right. And we don't know a whole lot about the Pictish culture. I mean, the Pictish culture, they didn't have a written language. They had a bunch of carvings on stones. They had a lot of word of mouth, and the Romans tried to wipe them out. So I would like to think, being Scottish, that I am related to the Picts, but there's a 99 or 98.9% chance that I'm not. So
fun. You're gonna do a DNA test to find out?
I've thought about it. My wife did one, and she learned a whole lot about her DNA. But it was pretty much what we already knew. She was very Mediterranean. She had some Northern Europe in there. She had some English and Irish, and she had, I think, some North African or Middle Eastern. But it was primarily Southern Europe, Italy, Calabria, Sicily, that area. So
I'm gonna do one of them. I'm curious.
Yeah, I would imagine that, a DNA test on me would be pretty much, hey, you're whiter than white. So
you're basically
you are the Wonder Bread of the bread varieties.
the mayonnaise. I can't even say it. The whitest of the mayonnaise.
Right.
You Hellmans. Not even best foods, just Hellmans.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad has stated that there's probably some Native American in there, but it's probably like 0.001%.
Like Elizabeth Warren. I'm Native
American. She's probably more Native American than I
am. And that still ain't saying much.
Not really. Had something and I totally spaced on it.
What about you though, Christina Lynn?
So Brett and I did do our DNA tests. We got the Ancestry.com tests for Christmas. They were in our stockings, and I made him do it. And we too came back whiter than white. I'm actually more Scandinavian than I thought. 76% Scandinavian. Brett was like 73.
And that's a huge shocker, really. No, I'm not being serious. I would have totally guessed Scandinavian.
I was like,
what? Well, just based on your height alone, you're very Scandinavian. You're tall. You're a tall woman. That is typically from the northern regions of Europe.
And then the other aspects.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's not 100% if you're a tall woman, you're from Scandinavia, but there is a greater likelihood.
I do like my mead. Not that's a joke, people. Don't come for me. But the other part of it was I had some Basque. I had some. The next largest group was Irish and Scottish, and then I had English, German, and Basque, which is a very small section, a small region in Spain. They're more of the fairer Iberians, if you want to like classify them. They are very pale, blonde, blue kind of thing.
Like the Castilians, or
No, they're Basque. They're like the Castilians, but even smaller group.
Oh, okay.
Even smaller group. But like the
Had to order
Native
that tonight.
American, the Native American side didn't even come out in my test. Like
'Cause
nothing
you're hella
in
white.
North America hit. So that was fun to find out.
My birth mother, I mean, if she's watching, which I don't think she is, but she claims that long ago she claimed that we were part Native American because I'm adopted, so I don't really know who my birth dad is. So I wouldn't know. I mean, that's a whole thing. But I still want to go get tested to see maybe where I come from. So, I don't know. Maybe I
Good.
come from.
You should probably do it.
That's
Considering
interesting.
because you are adopted. I would consider doing it.
I'm gonna be white. I'm gonna be so white. It's gonna be sad.
Yeah, Tara did the 23andMe one, and with 23andMe, they
That's what I was
constantly
thinking.
update it.
Ooh,
Really?
Yeah,
that's
and
the one I
then
was
it'll
thinking of doing
also,
too.
it was attached. I believe it was attached to the Human Genome Project. So along with the DNA testing and identification, they will also let you know not what diseases you will get, but what you are.
Predisposition too.
Marker
Yeah,
for?
I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, predisposition or
Yeah,
yeah,
your genes have
that
this
would be
particular
cool.
predisposition. Whether or not you get it, unless it's like a genetic disorder like ALS or something like that, then and my wife can explain it better than I can.
I
I know
wonder because
she's
my birth
there.
mom has MS, so I wonder if that's like
She's probably
hereditary.
entertaining. Our company's still over, so they may be watching the show on the
Oh,
TV too.
gotcha.
So I don't know.
If they are, hello.
2-bit dog and pony show.
But hey,
Oh,
enough about me. What about your guys' pantheons?
yeah, Christina Lynn. What about your pantheon?
So about that, right now I'm monotheistic. I have one deity that I am following. She is not a jealous deity, thank goodness. Um, I follow the Morgan, the Great Queen in Irish legend. Um, I followed her because she came busting into a dream and screwed some shit up, and then I had like a crisis of faith, and then I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. But she is, even though I'm monotheistic right now, I am looking into other like-minded deities of hers, um, which actually made me go start. I started researching the commonalities between the Great Queen and the Norse traditions slash pantheon, because there's a lot of, like we were saying, there's a lot of commonality between some of the Celtic pantheons and the Norse pantheon. Um, they're they're contemporaries. You know, they're both ancient faiths. And I'm speaking like as a historically ancient faiths, not as, oh, these are older than dirt. No, like an actual time frame, the ancient and classical periods. Um, so they're contemporaries in that aspect, but there's a lot of things that I found that coincide specifically between the Morgan and Thor, or not Thor, I'm sorry, Odin, the Allfather. So, even though I've been trying to research, if there's a link between the two, if there's legend where the two met up or anything like that, there is no such material to be found. And I know this is probably something that people have actually thought about because there's just too many similarities between the two of them. They're both sovereigns, they're both warriors, they both um uh oversee battlefields, they both have ravens and more. Let me backtrack that.
I was just
They
gonna
both
say
have
they both like ravens.
COVID. They both have
COVID. They both have
corvids
COVID.
as their, yeah, they probably have COVID at this point. Corvids as their like their animalistic visage. Um, you know, so I mean, there's got to be something somewhere that links the two of them. I just haven't found it yet. Again, she's not a jealous god. She doesn't care if you're worshiping other gods, so I don't think that there would be a problem if I were to make space for her, or for him, I should say, for Thor or any of the Norse gods, on the shrine, or find another place for a shrine. I probably shouldn't share shrine space. But she's not jealous, so but I want to make sure that like the practices are gonna marry very well, and I'm not gonna like piss one off to please another. um a little background for those who don't know much about the Morgan. I grew up thinking that she was like the Dark Queen, and she's a very dark goddess. um and she was like the one you don't want to call upon if you have an issue. uh, there was a lot of scare tactics in the 90s, I feel like, in the pagan community when it came to some of the darker forces. Uh, but when you start looking at what she stands for and what she wants you to do, um, she's all about reclaiming one's own sovereignty and one's peace and standing up for what's right. Uh, so that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to work on that. It's a little harder than it seems. Um,
Yeah, there's some other parallels between her and Odin as well. They both walk the battlefield choosing the dead. Right? Well,
right.
okay. Odin chooses the dead. The Valkyries take them to Valhalla. The Morrigan chooses the dead beforehand. So if you see her, you're more than likely going to die in battle.
And the which I mean, I'm okay with that. One of the things that a coworker said to me, she said, "You're just way too bubbly. Like I can't see you getting into dark stuff." And we were talking about death in particular, and I'm actually very okay with death. I'm not okay with my loved ones dying, but I'm okay with the idea of death. Like it's really easy for me to once I have my moment, get over the fact that someone's gone.
Right.
You know, everything has to end because life is a cycle, and the ground needs to be fertilized. And what are we if not just a walking, talking, thinking bundle of carbon, which is like, and nitrogens and other things. I know my husband's probably going to be like, "There's other things too," but we're just
You're
walking,
missing
talking
this.
fertilizer. You know, we are matter that flourishes the world around us. And so I'm okay with death, and I'm okay with that aspect. Believe it or not, sometimes it's living that's really hard for me to deal with.
Right. And I can reconcile my own death. I have a harder time reconciling other people's death, but I handle death in general very strangely. Because to me, death isn't the end. Death is just the next step.
Right.
We're going into a different plane of existence, and that's how I've felt for a very long time. And it's hard for me to go to funerals and to wakes and stuff like that because of that belief. Everybody's in mourning, and while yes, I do feel bad that I'll never interact with that person again until I take my first step on that next adventure. But that's what it is. They're just on to the next stage of their existence.
Right. And I think see, there's the chemist. There's the chemist right there. Um
Star Trek quote.
I know, babies. I know it's a Star Trek quote, but the fact that you said it and you're a scientist, I love you.
What did he
Thank
say?
you
I
so
missed
much.
it.
In the chat, he says we're bags of mostly water.
Or as Carl Sagan would say it, we are not but stardust.
Right. As the scientist next to me would say, energy never ends and it never begins. It just is recycled. So I mean, this is the other thing though. Since we're talking about gods, because this comes up a lot, be you pagan or of a Judo-Christian faith, the gods are probably not talking to you. They're not going to speak to you because that's not what they are. Like I can reconcile the fact that I have a shrine to the Morgan. I also know that I received her call. However, that was a sign, that was not her literally, calling me up on the phone saying, "Hey bitch, I need you to do some shit." And it, I'm going to say that every time we come into the Pantheons discussion, because there are people out there that are like, no, Loki talks to me. Oh, no. Persephone, I work with her in Hades. You may invoke them, but I doubt you have their cell phone number.
They're on speed dial. What are you talking about? They don't need the number.
It's one of those things that, like, you can be faithful and not be in direct connection with the deities. I am a very skeptical person.
Me too.
Even walking this path, even doing this podcast and learning new things, like, I am still a very skeptical person. I want to experience it. If you can experience it, then I should be able to experience it. And some things are not going to be experienced. Like, I'm not going to get a telegram from the Morgan telling me explicitly to go and do this thing. It's not going to happen. She's
ring,
going
ring.
to...
Hey, Christina Lynn.
Yes, Morgan, what is it?
Do something for me?
Yes, I will do that right now. No, it's not going to happen. She may send me nightmares, and she does. She may send me dreams, and she does. It's up to me whether or not to put in the time and effort to figure out what the hell she's saying for me to do. And it's always something I need to work on in myself, not something I need to do to other people. Now, others might disagree with me. That's fine. Tell us in the chat. Let's talk about it, because I am willing to be mind changed. No, that's not a proper way to say it, but you get the idea.
There's some TikToks that I follow, and a lot of people, I follow them. They're very entertaining. They personify their gods a lot, and while I don't agree that that's how it is, it's still like entertainment for me. It's still kind of fun, but I see that a lot with people saying like, "Oh my, this is how my God speaks to me," and a lot of times it's very, it's how they speak. You can see it's how exactly how they would communicate. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a little different. They'll give them different, I guess, persona. But for the most part, it's basically it's like another part of them. And that's fine, but it doesn't it's I don't know. It's fine. They can do it, definitely. It's whatever, but it's entertaining. But it doesn't mean that it's their God actually speaking to them. But it could be them. I don't know. It's not something I necessarily believe. I'm very skeptical.
What about you, Kayla?
What about me?
Yeah.
Because I'm so skeptical, I don't follow or worship any deities, but I am researching a lot of them, and I feel more aligned to what Cliff said about the nature spirits. Is like, I believe that maybe the gods do exist, but maybe they're not on that level of being as godly or deity where worshiping is a thing. I'm not sure yet. I have a lot of trauma from going through like my Christian upbringing and that. But when I was really younger, I mean, even now, I'm very drawn to the Greek pantheon, but I never wanted to be like, because I felt like that was very mainstream out of all the other like non-Christian, Jewish, not any like the main five. That one I felt like was very mainstream, and maybe that's why I was drawn to it. So I didn't want to feel like, oh, I need to just focus on that one just because maybe it was just hyped for me. So I've been starting to explore a lot of like the Celtic pantheons and even the Hindu, and I've just been researching a lot of other pantheons, Egyptian, and I've been learning a lot. And the Amino page has helped a lot with that too, because then I get other people's perspectives, and then I hear about other gods from there, and I can go research them on my own. But I've been a lot more drawn to like the more Celtic gods, and that researching those gods helped me understand that Celtic isn't just Irish, a lot more. But it's been really hard for me to say this is the deities I follow, because I am very skeptical, and because of my past of me saying I don't believe in God, I'm atheist as shit. Like I'm the most atheist. That's like, I used to be so mean about it. I'd be like, fuck you. Like, I'd attack people. Now I'm not. And I'm just like, whatever. But like, I was not having any kind of religion. Then when I, found Wicca was the first thing I found. I was like, it's more nature based. I'm gonna see what it's about. And then the part of me was like, there are gods, there are deities. You don't have to think of them as like, I don't know. I don't have to think of them, I guess, as something that's like, I don't know, godly, I guess. I think that word has just traumatized me, I think. And that's why I don't have any gods that I worship. But maybe deities is better. But I like the nature spirit thing. I really do like to worship the earth, though. The Mother Earth, whatever that is. Whatever, when I die, if I find out if, whatever Mother Earth really is or whatever, the earth is what gives us life. Like, if the earth dies, where the hell are we gonna really go? We have not mastered space travel at all. We have not. But basically, yeah, I'm still just learning and researching it and figuring out what my path is for deities, basically.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of trauma that recovering Christians do have to go through. PTSD can be, depending on what denomination and what dogma, and if you're Catholic or Protestant, or Northern Baptist, Southern Baptist, or Independent Baptist, or it's just
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian. I mean, there's so much in Christianity that can just really mess you up. And it messed me up for a long time because I was very lost spiritually. Having to deal with, oh, well, you're going to hell if you believe this or this or this or this or this. When if you really when it really comes down to it, every religion in the world has some variant of the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. That's all that Jesus said when the Pharisees asked him what law was the most important of the 10 Commandments. He didn't say don't kill or don't commit murder, don't, lust after your neighbor's wife. I mean, the 10 Commandments. All he said was treat others how you would want to be treated. If you can do that, everything else falls in line. And at that point, It doesn't matter what you believe or who you believe in. As long as you hold true to that tenet, then that's all that matters. And that's something that I've been preaching for decades. Yeah. And I every Christian that I get in a philosophical debate about, and they're like, oh, well, there's all these things that, Paul said and John said and, and Timothy said, and then there's the 4 Gospels. I'm like, and what did Jesus say was the most important? None of the things that Paul said, none of the things that John said, it doesn't matter. Those things don't matter. And don't get me started on Paul, because he was a misogynistic bastard, and I do not like him.
You know him personally, you just decided you don't like him?
No, I've gone and I've done a few Bible studies on the Apostle Paul, so
I do want to say, like, we don't mean to offend anybody. I sure as hell don't mean to offend anybody, and I know that some faiths and paths, some paths are going to be, they're going to swing a different way than another one. Like, I am not a voodoo practitioner. I do not follow the Lao. However, I know that in that path, the Lao is like, you may not venerate a specific one, but you better like do something. Otherwise, gonna incur their wrath, and they will, like, they're gonna fuck some shit up for you. Um, Now, as soon as we can get a voodoo priest or priestess on this podcast and we can ask them some questions, then we'll elaborate. I don't know any that are willing to come on, though. And it's probably because there's a lot of controversy about voodoo as a closed practice culturally, etc. Uh, and we are welcoming to those who have a closed practice, who have knowledge, that like to share it, so that maybe misinformation can get disseminated, and maybe that's the wrong word. uh just correct misinformation, that's what I mean.
Right. And voodoo in itself isn't a very well accepted faith in the US, even where it's, more popular, like down in Louisiana and those southern states, the Creole states.
So I mean, we're not meaning any offense. We are just trying to learn from each other, and we do want people to come on and teach us what we don't know, because and I will quote Hamlet, there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. So our worldview, for those who don't know Hamlet, meaning there are so many more things than are in our worldview, in our purview. You have to have an open mind, and I want to say to you two and to our listeners, like my dear husband over here, thank you guys for having that open mind enough to actually discuss things in a rational, calm manner.
I used to have a rule when people would come over. It was no politics, no religion.
Right.
Good rule.
I still
has that rule.
I still hold mostly to the no politics, but if you're coming into my house, know that you're coming into a socialist's house. Keep that in mind. As far as religion goes, as long as you're not preaching at me, I won't preach at you, and we can have a great philosophical conversation. So,
my thing is, if you bring it up, I'm gonna debate the shit out of it. I don't care. I'm the worst. My mom's always like, no politics, no religion. The second someone brings it up, I'm like, let's go. I'm so bad. I'm such an instigator. I love it. I'm always like,
Kool-Aid man in your house.
Family fight.
I could be like that too. There's times when I'm around my in-laws where I just am like, how the hell do you believe that? I mean, I have to bite my tongue and go outside most of the time when we're over there for dinner, or fall asleep on the couch, because some of the conversation, I just want to flip a table.
The only time I bit my tongue was when I had $300 worth of sushi in front of me, and I said, all right, I'll eat it. I said, okay, fuck it.
But I have enough of
sushi.
Yeah, I have enough of an open mind to be pretty accepting of everybody's faiths, unless, of course, like I said, you're putting babies on spikes.
Yeah, if you're sacrificing children or murdering people, like,
I don't even like kids, and as long as you're not putting on babies on spikes, we're cool.
Will and love, is that the thelemic?
No rape, no child murder, no pedophilia. We're good.
The thelemic reading, or
true will.
Or true will.
Hold to your true will. My true will is to be the best person that I can. And I fail at it, but it doesn't mean that it's not my true will. I try and be a good father and a good husband. Do I fail at it? Yeah, but it doesn't mean I don't stop trying.
And that's good.
Brett is miming putting babies on spikes. Including the-
So, yes. So I got that from the Eddie Izzard skit.
Give me the babies.
We
Give
got
me the
babies on
babies.
rack.
When I was in French class, my main phrase to say to people was that I ate French babies every day, every Sunday. Like, so just eating babies
In
is
French,
my thing,
please.
guys.
Please just say that in French.
Je mange de bébé français tous les dimanches. Someone can correct me if that's wrong, but that's how I learned it.
It's gonna make Brett so happy.
Je mange de bébé français tous les dimanches. Oui, oui. Dimanche is Sunday.
Brett's nodding because like I said in chat, there is a gap where what we're talking about and when you guys actually see it or hear it. So Brett just got the Eddie Izzard reference.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'll slip another one in here. Vate fe futura. Someone who speaks French, let me know if you know what that means. That was real bad.
Anywho, we have like 9 minutes. Like we said at the beginning, this is going to be an ongoing thing. If we don't get another guest who knows something more about a pantheon than we do, we might just bring up the pantheons of Skyrim or the pantheons of
World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Because, like, let's be honest, one pantheon, even from a fictitious realm like Skyrim, is just as holy as the pantheon of the Greeks.
Well, and if you
or
get
the
enough people,
Aztecs,
if you get enough
or-
people believing it, it can manifest. So
Right. Because, like I was trying to allude to before, gods aren't actual people, they're energies, they're
our belief gives them power.
right.
So we can manifest
They
Namira. That's
So-
the
avatars.
cannibal one.
Yeah. So the person that I had in mind to bring on is one of my friends that used to be one of the coordinators for Pangaea before it sold out. What? I didn't hear that.
I'm
What was that?
interested in that.
There's a whole lot of drama that went into it. If they
we're
would
having
like
an
to
after
talk about it, they're welcome to talk about it. I'm not going to ask them to talk about it.
No. This would be an off-camera thing.
Oh,
'cause,
okay.
I
They
am
were-
a gossipy whore.
They also
Me
were
too.
involved with the magic shop that shall not be named,
Oh.
and they had a very similar experience to us.
Is it the one that I know?
No,
Oh, a different
I
one.
don't know. I told you
Alright.
not to go into a particular shop.
Yep, that's the one.
That's the one.
Okay, that's the one.
Do I know this person?
I don't know.
Okay.
They are a Scadian in our shire,
Okay.
but I don't know if you know them.
Okay. Oh, speaking of Scadians, since we're coming out of our discussion, I told Kayla to go and see about that position Yoshi was talking about at Rock Mama.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even look at it yet.
What?
You should.
Do it.
You
Fuck.
should.
I've heard
Okay,
nothing
I'll
but
go
It's
look at it.
amazing.
yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard
I'm
nothing
gonna
but
look
good
at it after
things
the
about Rock
podcast.
Mama. So
I
gonna look at it
went
after
in
the podcast.
before
Yeah.
I went in during the pandemic, right before they had opened up their
Mhm.
newest section. It's really nice in there. I wish I had the money to go in there and get the things that I wanted to. Like Kayla, this is a rock hound's wet dream. Okay,
So I'm gonna like die in there every day.
metaphysical store. But
Mm.
what Yoshi was talking about was needing someone to help put together jewelry
Oh, I can do that. I'm hella crafty.
and working in the warehouse. So look into it. If you guys are ever in the South Sac area, Power End Road, Rock Mama, it's a
'em out.
fantastic, fantastic shop. You don't need to give us a shout out. It would be cool, but like they're gonna be like, who the hell is cleaning out the cupboard in Mystery's Mystical Cupboard?
And-
They won't know us.
yeah, and not to
They'll find
downplay.
out who we are.
Not to downplay the pimping of Rock Mama because they are awesome. There's another really cool rock shop in Old Sacramento called Ology. It's right next door to the Garden of Enchantment.
Is
They
it
don't-
still open though? 'Cause
Yes.
I heard that they had closed.
No, me and Tara just walked by there the other day. They are still there.
Is a Garden of Enchantment a restaurant?
No.
No.
Garden of
No,
Enchantment is
There's-
another
there's
good
one
store that you
in
need
the
to go
good
into.
store.
Oh, because
Kayla?
there's a Garden of Enchantment. No, you guys need to go. It's in Placerville. I think it's called the Enchanted Garden or something. I don't know.
Yes.
But it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know,
It's the fairy
it's like when
restaurant.
fire.
Yes.
Yeah, I know all about it.
Your salads on leaves plates. Love it.
Kayla, what are you
Cried
doing
when
this
I went in.
weekend?
D&D Sunday, Friday or Saturday at work. Friday I'm off. No, not this
Oh,
Friday. It's next Friday.
fudge! I forgot D&D Sunday.
Sunday morning, I was gonna ask if you wanted to go kayaking.
Brent was gonna take me to the fair this weekend on Sunday.
Loser, Cliff, you're going kayaking then with me.
I work on Sundays.
What the fuck?
You got to find another morning. I'll definitely go kayaking with you.
My bad.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I'll go. Well,
me
I'll have to
too.
go.
Yeah.
Shit.
I don't
Okay,
have a
kayaking.
kayak, but I will
I
go.
have some kayak.
Oh, okay.
She took
I
her
have two.
semi money and bought 2 kayaks.
Well,
Nice.
my mom bought myself a dish. My mom bought my sister a dishwasher and said, "All right, since I'm buying your sister a dishwasher, I'm gonna buy you something." I said, "All right, kayaks."
And she was like, "Would you like to go kayaking?" I was like, "Yes, I
Yeah.
want to. I've never gone." She's like, "Well, guess what, bitch? I got 2, so you can get out of the lake with me." And I was like, "Yeah."
Nice.
I'm gonna put stickers on them. I know that water wears it away, but still.
Well,
Put it-
before
Do you want a Mysteries Mystical Cupboard sticker?
Well, yeah, I have one of our labels. I was thinking about putting that on and then slapping a seal over it.
Before I go kayaking with another woman, though, I got to make sure that my pool is up in working order so that my wife
No,
can
I'll
use
come
the
check your
pool
pool
while
out.
I am kayaking.
Well, I will come check your pool out. I am a pro.
At this point, I'm probably going to have to drain it. So we'll see. I
Just
haven't.
do a 1 foot partial drain and then add water. That probably will fix it. 1 foot. Just trust me.
Swamp Thing is living in
We're
my
learning
pool.
so much today.
You can shock the
Oh
shit
my-
out of it too.
Oh, I know, and I've tried, and I haven't had a chance. I was gonna take a bottle over to Leslie's and have them test it,
Exactly.
but I've just been waiting to. I've been waiting to have some extra cash to do it.
Have them
'cause-
test it. Don't buy anything yet. Send me the test results. I'll tell you what to buy.
Okay,
Because they always want you to buy everything that costs hella money, but then I know what to buy.
I will do that.
Because they're gonna make you buy everything.
Right.
If your pH and alkalinity high, don't worry about it. As long as it's not too high, don't worry about it. It's just base. So
Okay. I will do
All
that.
about that base. About that base.
all about that
No
base.
travel.
It's acidic, that's what it is. You'll die. I'm just kidding. You'll just get hella rash.
All right, I'm
Well,
sweating like a crazy person.
Oh yeah.
and my dinner is probably cold because my husband already ate without me.
All righty.
Yeah, I think my dinner is too.
Well, I love you guys. Next
Love you
week's
more.
Schedule is still up in the Discord. Please join our Discord channel, or check us out on Facebook. The link is on our main page. And I love you guys. I will see you
Hell yeah.
next week.
Laters.
I love